December rate cuts, everyone is talking about them. But what they're not telling you is that December is just the trigger. See, while everyone is focused on whether the rate drops will be 0.25% or 0.5%, there are 5 major forces colliding at the same time. And when these forces meet with those December rate cuts, the property market is about to do something that will make the COVID's 24.6% price explosion look predictable. Hi everyone, my name is Moxin Reza and I'm your property mentor, and by the end of this video, you will understand why 2026 could be the most expensive year to not own a property in Australian history. And more importantly, what do you need to do in the next 60 days? But first, we need to talk about the weapon banks are quietly loading into their arsenal that the government has absolutely no control over. Here is what most people think is happening. RBA rate cuts in December, property prices go up a bit, life goes on. It's very simple, right? Wrong. Because December rate cuts aren't just happening in isolation. Now, whether they happen in December or not is a completely different conversation. But the rate cuts are the match being dropped into a room that's already filled with gasoline. And let me show you what I mean. Right now, I'm recording this and there are 5 distinct forces building pressure in Australian property market. Number 1, the population growth is accelerating despite migration caps. The 446,000 new arrivals annually, which is double the pre-COVID average. That's 1,223 people arriving every single day who need to live somewhere. Number 2, the government is literally throwing money at first-home buyers. You know, with 5% deposit schemes and the stamp duty concessions and first-home buyers grant, we are talking about 1.5 billion in safe mortgage insurance costs in the first year alone. And number 3, the state governments are capping rental increases through rental reforms, which sounds good until you understand what it actually does to prices. The rental vacancies have hit 1.47% nationally. That's less than the pre-COVID average of 3.3%. And number 4, the RBA rate cuts everyone is talking about, and yes, that matter, but not in the way you think. You know, ANZ forecast the first rate cut around February 26, NAB says May 2026. And number 5, this is the big one that no one is connecting the dots on. The banks are preparing to introduce 40-year mortgages, 10-year interest-free loans, and potentially 30-year fixed rates. Now, here is what's making 2026 different from any other year. These 5 forces have never aligned like this before. Not in 2020, not in 2008, not forever. And the scary part, only one of these 5 things is controlled by the government. Let's start with the demand side of this equation, because this is where things get absolutely wild. Let's talk about the population paradox. The government says that they are capping immigration at 185,000 places for 25-26. Great, right? Supply and demand should balance out, but not quite, because actual net migration is running at 500,000 annually. That's nearly triple the official cap. Over just the March quarter 2025, there were 110,000 new arrivals in Australia. Migration now accounts for 76% of Australia's population growth, creating the underlying housing demand of approximately 180,000 dwellings every year. Meanwhile, we are only completing 174,000 dwellings annually. That's 27% below what we actually need. And this has been ongoing for the past 3 years. We are already 262 dwellings short of our 5-year target. Now, even with the caps introduced in 2025-26, the impact will be seen in 3 to 4 years. In Brisbane, a first-home buyer can now purchase $1 million property with just $50,000 deposit and save approximately $42,000 in lender's mortgage insurance. That's the money that they would have taken them 10 years to save. That's now available and immediate. Let me explain the bank's perspective. In September 2025, Great Southern Bank just introduced a 40-year home loan. They are joining Australian Mutual Bank, GNC Mutual, RSEQ, and others. And according to the Finder's research, 30% of Australia would take out a 40-year mortgage if it's reducing their repayments. Banks don't need the government permission to introduce these products. They just do it because it's profitable for them and technically buyers want it. So the borrowing capacity explosion is about to happen. Here's the real maths that's going to change everything. On a $600,000 loan, A 40-year mortgage reduces your monthly repayments by $300 compared to a 30-year loan, from $3,400 down to $3,000 per month. That might not sound like much, but here is what it means for borrowing capacity. If you can afford $3,000 a month in repayment, switching from a 30-year to a 40-year mortgage, what you can borrow is approximately $85,000 overnight. No income increase required. And here is the kicker. When the rate drops to 5.5% after rate cuts, that same $3,000 monthly repayment on a 40-year mortgage, your borrowing capacity could jump by another $80,000 or more. Now add 10-year interest-only period into the mix and the problem looks scary. In May 2025, AMP Bank launched Australia's first 10-year interest-only home loan for owner-occupiers with no midterm assessments required. That, on the same $600,000 loan, interest-only period reduces the monthly repayments by another $140. That's from $3,500 to $2,800. That's an extra $600 back into people's pocket. Suddenly, that $3,000 monthly repayment can service significantly more debt, pushing your borrowing capacity even further. You see the problem? The opportunity, depending on which side of the market that you are in. The government can cap immigration as much as they want. They can reform rental laws, they can even try to slow down stamp duty concessions, but they cannot stop banks from offering these products. And when bank rolls these options out, and trust me, they will, because it makes them money, the borrowing capacity in the market is going to explode potentially. When you limit rent increases to once per year, investors get nervous, and we are already seeing the impact. The rental vacancies at 1.4% nationally, with Perth and Adelaide at just 0.6%. That's not healthy rental market, that's crisis. And here's the crucial part. The banking products aren't controlled by the government. The RBA sets the rate cuts, but the loan structure, the mortgage terms, those are bank decisions. The government cannot call up the bank and say, hey, don't offer 40-year mortgages. That would be market interference on a level that would trigger lawsuits and potential, violating banking regulations. So what have we got is a demand side pressure that the government is creating. 1.5 billion in LMI savings, stamp duty exemptions up to 800,000. Demand side pressures government cannot fully control, and the supply side constraints of dwelling shortfalls, vacancy rates, etc., and the banking products that the government has no control over. All of this colliding with rate cuts starting February or May next year. It's not COVID 2.0, it's potentially worse, because at least in COVID, the market was reacting to one or two forces. In 2026, we have 5 major forces pushing in the same direction. So let's talk about COVID for a second, because that's the benchmark everyone is using. So what happened in COVID? Rates dropped to 0.1%, an emergency level. Government stimulus money comes into people's pocket through home builders grants. The borrowing capacity increased significantly. People stuck at home decided property was their priority, and result, prices jumped to 24.6% nationally. In 2021 alone, we saw 23% year-on-year increase, and regional areas surged by 36%, while capital cities grow by almost 21%. And since March 2020, Australian home values have surged nearly 40%, adding approximately $227,000 to the median property price. COVID happened fast, 18 months of madness, and things stabilized. 2026 could be different, because this isn't a spike. This could be a sustained surge that reshapes Australian property affordability for generations to come. So everything I've just laid out, even 70% of it is accurate. What do you actually do with this information? If you're planning to buy, the window is until February. Once the rate cuts are confirmed and the banks fully roll out the extended mortgage products, you will be competing against people with 30 to 40% more borrowing capacity than they have today. Get your pre-approval now. Lock in your borrowing capacity at current lending criteria before everyone else's capacity explodes. The property that seems slightly out of reach today, they'll become completely out of reach in 6 months' time when you're bidding against buyers with an extra $85,000 to almost $200,000 in borrowing capacity just from longer loan terms. Remember, in Brisbane, first-home buyers can borrow up to $1 million. First-home buyers can buy up to $1 million with just $50,000 down payment and save $142,000 in insurance costs. If you're a current owner, this is the wealth transfer moment. If you're sitting on the property in high-demand areas, the next 18 months could add 20 to 30% to your property value without you doing anything. During COVID, the median price increased by $227,000. If we see even half that impact in 2026, you are looking at 6-figure equity gains again. And if you've been thinking about upgrading, the math might actually favor you doing it right now rather than playing the waiting game, because the property you are buying might increase less than the property you're selling. If you're renting, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the vacancy rates at 1.4% nationally and the rental reforms limited increase to once per year, landlords are exiting the market left, right, and center. National combined rents hit 654 per week in March alone, up 38% since March 2020 and adding 177 per week to median rental costs. CBRE predicts median rents will grow by another 24% by 2030, with 92% of two-bedroom apartments costing over $700 per week. You are in a squeeze play. The question is, can you position yourself to buy before all of this hits the fan? The 60-day reality check. Look, I could be wrong about all of this timing. Maybe it will take, mid-2026. Maybe the banks are slower to roll out these products. The only question is, how fast does it happen? So let's bring this home. December rate cuts aren't the story, they are a trigger. 5 major forces are aligning that have never aligned like this before. The annual migration, the government incentives, the rate cuts, the rental vacancies, the banking products that are increasing borrowing capacity by 30 to 40%. The government controls only one of these forces and the market controls the balance of the 4. And when these forces collide in 2026, we could see property prices make movements that make the question is, are you positioned on the right side of this? I've laid out the data, I've shown you the math. Now the decision is yours. Drop in the comment below, are you buying before this hits or are you playing the waiting game? I'm genuinely curious to see where people are positioning themselves because I know where I stand. If this video helped you connect the dots, smash that like button and hit the subscribe. Before 2026 is going to be one hell of a year and I'm looking forward to that. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, stay safe, keep smiling, keep investing.